She is 10, crouched in the dark outside her parents' closed bedroom door. It is way past her bedtime. Her hands are in fists, fingernails biting into her palms. Her heart beats hard and fast in her chest, and she hopes they can't hear that. They probably can't, because they're fighting. They do a lot of that lately. She wants to put her hands over her ears to block out sound, but she needs to know. Something is terribly wrong in her house. Her mom is talking in her mean voice. Her dad is silent. Say something, she thinks. Clear this up, Daddy. I will never forget hearing that night that my father had gotten my older sister pregnant. She was 12 when he began molesting her, but he waited until her 13th birthday to make her his mistress. She was 15 when she got pregnant. My mom blamed my sister and sent her away. When my dad's contract wasn't renewed, he was the principal of a grade school, and the church asked him to resign as pastor. We went to Africa as pioneer missionaries. Now, I thought with the naivete of a young girl that we had been given a fresh start, and I loved Africa right down to the very dirt we walked on. My dad, this other side of my dad, was an Indiana Jones kind of guy. I mean, we went around the world, we wandered ancient ruins, we explored much of Ethiopia by mule train. He mapped a great deal of the country for Emperor Haile Selassie. And I spoke the Amharic language so well that I dreamt in it. And I believed in our mission to take the good news of the gospel to these beautiful people and to provide them with medical clinics and schools. And then, on my sister Katie's 13th birthday, he initiated her, just like Michelle. When there's one form of abuse in a family, there are generally more. Katie and I were playing accordions one afternoon when we heard Elsie scream. We raced up to the main house to find her being beaten by Dad. Katie tried to get between them and was thrown across the room. Horrified, she and I both ran. She ran out the compound gate. I snapped a halter on my horse and took off bareback after her. I'd heard about asylum. I heard embassies offered it, and I knew of an embassy, Swedish, not far from where we lived. I pretty quickly caught up with Katie, and she used my foot to swing on behind. There was this 4-foot stone wall surrounding the embassy compound, and I didn't know where the gate was, but I knew that Elsie was being hurt. "Hang on tight, Katie," I shouted over my shoulder. "We are jumping that wall." Now, it's a miracle that 2 teenage girls bareback actually did stay on, but we did, and galloped up to the main building where we were listened to. A phone call was made to our home, so Elsie's beating stopped, but we were returned to our parents. That did not go well. But my life was about to get much, much better. We moved into the bush to Kiramu and built the first medical outpost. Now, when I say into the bush, I mean that we were 9 days by mule to the nearest road, let alone the nearest town in the monsoon season, or 3+ days by Land Rover in the dry season. I was 14. My best friend, an Ethiopian girl, also my same age, was married and had a little girl. But it was during this time at Kiramu that I began to come into my own. I loved the culture, I loved the people, I loved our mission, and it grounded me somehow. I even loved my work. I got to teach in the school, I worked in the clinic, and I got to sew little shirts for all the newborn babies, and I delivered them either on foot or on horseback. And when my parents contracted paratyphoid fever and had to be flown to hospital for 6 weeks, I managed the station, including the clinic and the school. And I poured all that stuff I couldn't talk about, stuff I couldn't begin to sort out, into music. Later, our family bought a plane